Hi, and welcome to the 10th episode of Knitting Downsized. This is a podcast about knitting, about life in a camper as a family of 4 with a doggy, and about my family and our adventures. So first off, definitely check us out over at Knitting Downsized over on Instagram. I try to post a picture or two a week. I don't really bombard you with a lot of stuff all the time, but I do like to share some of my progress on my projects, as well as some of the stuff that we're doing as a family. So first off, as you can see, I have an awesome finished object. I finished my Cowgirl crop by Knitting Ruined My Life. So this was a fantastic knit. I definitely recommend the pattern. It has the little cowboy boots, the cowgirls, the hats, and the cowgirl boots. I knit it. It is a crop sweater. It's meant to be a crop sweater, and it's meant to be short sleeve. So I altered that, and that is all the difference that I did to this pattern. All the changes, I guess, I did to this pattern. So I made it a little bit longer, and I did the yellow on the mustard on the bottom, and then I did the sleeves about 3/4 length. I wanted to use all of the yarn that I had, so that way I didn't have like a little bit of yarn left over, and I wanted to get as much length as I could out of it. So I think I have a little ball of the mustard, but as you can tell from this hat, I can use a little bit of mustard on hats or gloves, or it's like my neutral. I absolutely love mustard, and I think y'all should probably be aware of that by now, by all the projects that I have and all the yarn that I have that is in a mustard color. So this is the kind of the main project that I finished this week. Like I said, last week I was doing some training at work and still doing some training at work, and I'm observing, kind of shadowing a little bit. So the body of the sweater I did while I was doing my Zoom calls and online trainings and all that good stuff. So I'm a little frustrated at myself. I think the only thing that I'm frustrated about this sweater is, like I talked about last week in episode 9, I do the thing where whenever I'm casting off for my sleeve stitches, I do extra stitches on the front to accommodate my bust. And this sweater, whenever you separate for sleeves, it's the kind of sweater where you do a little bit of stitches, then you take your sleeves off, then you do the whole other side, or the front or the back. You take your other sleeve stitches off, and then you have like a little bit left. So the combined value from the beginning and the end equal another side. So that was the side that I did the extra stitches on, and that just happens to be where my jog is. So the jog for all my color work and everything is, you could probably tell a little bit, like this one's a little wonky, is right in the middle of my chest. So I'm a little frustrated at that. But other than that, that's the only thing. And I think I might be able to block some of that out. I haven't blocked it yet. It's freezing cold here, and I would have to block it out outside. And, I don't really care that much. I just like to wear it. So if I finish an object, I'm going to wear it as soon as possible. So just so you know, I wasn't even thinking when I did it, and I should have done the extra stitches on the other side after I cast off for like these sleeve stitches, but I didn't. So just a reminder, the whole reading the pattern thing before you do it that I never seem to do. So I have a couple other finished objects this week too. Like I said, I had not tons of time. I don't want to sound like I wasn't working. I was working, but I've let all of my superiors know, and folks that are training me know that it's to me, it helps me a lot to concentrate and to absorb more if I can knit. So I tried to do a couple little projects while I was doing some of that this week. And I made my son, it got really cold over the weekend, and I can't find my son's mittens. he has a pair of those like neoprene and fleece mittens, and I couldn't find them anywhere. I'm sure they're in one of our storage cubbies with all of the rest of our winter outfits, and I couldn't find them, and it was really cold this weekend, and he wanted to play outside. So as a knitter, I was like, I need to make him a pair of mittens, obviously. So I had some leftovers of some leftover opal, and it's the 8-ply, the worsted weight opal. I made some socks with it, and so I made these cute little mittens. This pattern is the World's Simplest Mittens by Tincan Knits. This one's kind of a triangle thumb, but such a cool pattern, guys. If you want to try something new, like if you want to try mittens and have never done them before, or want to try socks and have never done them before, these, in my opinion, are the best patterns to do that with. They hold your hand the entire way, and there's so many different sizes. This is the child size mitten, and I used the DK numbers because if the mittens are too big, just the same as if a hat is too big, my son tends to take it off. It's like he can feel it, but if it's tight, he doesn't feel it or notice it as much, so he won't take it off. So these are tight on him. I probably should have jumped up to the worsted number of stitches, but I just did the DK. So I love how the opal patterns, it's so cool. They are, you know, mismatched, but these are some of his favorite colors, the red, green, and then the grays. So really, really like these mittens. Highly recommend. They, like I said, they hold your hand the whole way through in this pattern, and there's so many size options. I just think it's really cool. I love Tincan Knits. If you're going to do a new sweater, do the Flax or the Flax Light. Don't do your first sweater as a fingering weight sweater. Do the Flax. Don't do the Flax Light. I strongly recommend, if you're going to do a first sweater, do a baby Flax. So that way you can kind of figure out the construction of a sweater. So when you make yourself a sweater, you know what's going on and can make changes, or you just know what's going on, so you know what the next step is and it doesn't surprise you or anything like that. So World's Simplest Mittens, Tincan Knits. You can check them out on, they have Instagram, I'm sure they have Facebook. Everybody has Facebook. They also have a website where you can look at all their patterns and download their patterns for free as well. So definitely check them out. So I finished the 2 hats for Clay's class, and I'm super excited. They are so cute. I used the Alterknit Stitch, I believe it's Alterknit Stitch Dictionary by Andrea Rangel, and she has tons of different colorwork motifs in that particular book. I absolutely love it. Really, really great motifs. They're super fun, and most of them are pretty easy to memorize. So I finished the Gecko hat. Super dark. There we go. The Gecko hat. So lots of little lizards, geckos, lizards, whatever. This is all using Cascade 200, Cascade 200, I think, worsted. I had some leftovers from, I think, some sweaters that I was doing. I don't know. I had some leftovers, so I used this one. And then this is the robot. It's kind of hard to tell because I did the decreases inside the robot. So this is the robot one. And my robots are skinny because I, once again, can't read a pattern. So I made him a little skinnier than I think the pattern called for. But once again, this is the leftover Cascade worsted in a red color. So you can't really tell, but it's like fire engine red and then a black. So super cute pattern. I'm excited. So I have hearts, lizards, and robots. I need to figure out what I'm doing next. I've started the brim on another one. I think that's, to me, that seems like the most time consuming thing whenever you're doing a hat, is the ribbing. So I've done a double brim for this next one. So I need to pick out my color work. So that is the next step in my hat adventure with those folks. So the next thing, I made a decision late last night. I'm trying, because I work nights, and I've started my nights. I am trying to stay up on my days off, so that way it won't be such a shock when I have to stay up all night, and I can kind of get in a rhythm and maintain that rhythm so it doesn't, wear me out as much. So I stayed up late last night and came to a decision. I decided to frog. So I ripped out my spotted vest. Ooh, something spotted vest. The cowl, the knit along that I was doing with Malabria, I don't like the colors. I think even before I started doing it, or before Kevin said it was, my husband said it was my chocolate chip vest, I think I didn't like it then, and I don't think that I would ever wear it, even though I'd started with the separation, and I was, working on the front of the sweater, or the vest, I'm sorry. I don't think I would ever wear it as it was, as a vest, with those particular colors. The pattern is amazing. I definitely recommend the pattern. It's by Afifa Saeed. And it's such an easy pattern, such a cool pattern. I really, really love it. I love all the ribbing that she has on it, and the little spots. She has a cool way of doing that. And it's a free pattern, so definitely check it out. I just didn't like the colors that I used, and which was really frustrating for me. I don't frog stuff a lot. Usually I'll just continue on and then never wear it. So I frogged it last night because I was just so over it. And I decided to start a sweater. I'm gonna do I purchased the Pom Pom Ready Set Raglan book at Set Raglan yarn. It's a yarn store in Brevard, North Carolina. Check them out. They have amazing YouTubes. They have a YouTube channel, and they do tips, and they show you how to do different techniques. So definitely check them out on their YouTube. They have an Instagram and a website. So Set Raglan, I think it's Art and Fiber, I believe. So Set Raglan Art and Fiber in Brevard. It's my favorite yarn store, my local yarn store. So I purchased this from them. I had to purchase some yarn for my knitting class this week. We're doing a knit along, and I'll show you guys that here in just a minute. So I purchased this magazine because I've seen lots of people talk about it, and I love a good raglan. And this magazine has some absolutely gorgeous raglans in it, and they all seem to be like beginner raglans, sweaters where with just a touch of interest, like a cabled increase raglan. The raglans are cabled, or there's a little bit of texture or ribbing. It's just really awesome sweaters, and I really am interested in doing more than just this first one. So I started with the very first one in it. Iris, Irie. Oh, I'm not even gonna try. So it's just a very basic raglan, and I'm gonna do, I think you can kind of tell the neck. With each of these sweaters, there's multiple options. So they give you different collar lengths. They give you different, arm lengths. They give you different, like, hems, as far as like a split hem or, your plain hem. So each sweater has numerous options in it, which is really kind of cool. So I'm going to do almost the turtlenecky, I guess the faux turtleneck collar. And I am going to do, I think this is really cool. I don't think this is like a trade secret. It's just something that they did in their magazine to give you some color options, or some options. I go brain dead whenever I look at different sweaters and try to figure out striping and color blocking. So these are some different options that they have in the book. So the book not only has tons of patterns, but it also has tons of like really, I'm trying to get it out. There we go. So it has tons of like techniques and different things in the back of the book, as well as some things like this, where it shows you different options as far as how to color block your sweater, or how they recommend to color block your sweater in different options. So I'm going to use 3 colors. I'll show you here in just a minute. And I believe I'm going to do this one. But it might be more like this one. Because I have 3 colors. And I'm trying to use as much as I have of each color because I have, I think, right at the amount of yardage, and I would like for it to be a long sleeve sweater. So I think this is just awesome. I just don't, my brain doesn't think like this. I just go on a whim, but this kind of gives you, I guess, a heads up or like a visual on, you know, some different options that you can do as far as color blocking. So I started this afternoon, I started the collar, and I'm using, I think this is the mocha. It's the dark brown in Malabrigo Rios. And so the only thing that I'm changing is I've never done the ribbing of a sweater in twisted rib, but I really like the look of twisted rib. So I decided to make that change. So that's the only change that I plan on making to the sweater is all the ribbing I'm going to do twisted rib. So I just think it's prettier. It kind of gives a visual interest. So I've got this, the brown, the Frank Ochre, and then this is one of the skeins that I won, the Malabrigo Rios in the Lapacho color, in this really pretty mauve. So I only have 1 skein of this, so it'll probably just be a kind of a stripe, probably a thin stripe. But this, I have 3 skeins of this and 2 skeins of this, so these are going to be kind of the main colors in this sweater. So super excited. I like a raglan construction because I don't have to count, which I think is, to me, that's awesome. It makes the flow of a sweater a lot easier. I love a circle yoke construction, like this one was a circle yoke construction, but you have so many increases where you have to count that I end up pausing it because I have kiddos around or I forget what number I'm at or something like that. And to me, a raglan is just kind of an easy increase because you know at certain points that you have to do that increase, and however many rows that they set up, you have to do an increase. So for me and my brain, it's just a lot easier. So definitely pick up the Ready Set Raglan. They have some more copies at Set Raglan. You can order online, you can give them a call. If you're local, they offer free pickup. You just have to call ahead. Like if you order on their website, I believe it charges you for shipping, but they reimburse, I believe. I think that's how it happened. I had to do a curbside pickup one day. I needed yarn immediately to finish Kevin's sweater. And I ran by and picked it up, and they met me at the curb. So I just think it's really cool. So definitely pick up Ready Set Raglan. They also have several of the other Pom Poms. The new Pom Pom, they have some in stock. As far as over the weekend when I went, they had some in stock. So definitely pick that up. So my knitting class, I tried to do a different technique every now and then and introduce something different. And a lot of the folks have been kind of chomping at the bit to do color work. So I thought maybe we could do mosaic first to kind of get the idea of color work. And even though it's very different, but I like it. So one of the patterns that Malabrigo sent me when I won the knit along that I ripped out was the arrow cowl. So it is super cool. I really like it. They use Malabrigo Rios, so it's a worsted weight cowl, and it's done in the round mosaic. So we are all doing this particular cowl. I have a group, I think it's 5 or 6 ladies that we get together a couple times a week and we knit, and I help them with their projects. So I am doing a red and white. Ooh. Can't really see. There we go. So I'm to the little dot in the middle of the arrow. So our community purchased the yarn for us, or they reimbursed the yarn for us. So Set Raglan had a sale. They do, I believe it's pick of the week or something like that, where they do a yarn or they'll do a tool, and it'll be 15% off. So last week, Cascade Friday Harbor, this is Friday Harbor, was on sale, and it was 15% off. So it's a worsted weight, and I believe it's an 80-20 wool and silk blend, which I think is really kind of cool. It's got some kind of little blips. I guess the silk didn't dye as dark, so it's got some color change to it, so it's not just chunks of solid, it's not just solid yarn. So maybe you can see better in the ball. There we go. You can kind of see the little blips and stuff. So I've got started. The Arrow Cowl calls for a size 7, but this Friday Harbor to me is a little bit thicker. It borders on Aran weight. So I bumped up to an 8 because it was so tight. Because you're slipping stitches in mosaic knitting, you know, it's going to twist the stitches that you slip, and it made those stitches really tight on a size 7. So I went up a size in the needle, and I went down because the repeat is a pretty low number repeat. I know it's a paid for pattern, so I won't say anything else, but pretty low number repeat. So I decreased by a couple repeats, and it's perfect. So I hardly ever wear cowls or scarves. Or shawls. I love to make them, but it's just not something that I wear. I think I get really hot around the neck. So I am going to finish this up, and I'm going to raffle it off, I believe, or auction it off maybe in our neighborhood. Since our community purchased the yarn, I'm going to raffle it off there for the proceeds going to my son's school. For our neighborhood is purchasing sweatpants for the kiddos there, so I want to auction it off so that they have more money to purchase more sweatpants. So I think that's our winter thing, is we're purchasing sweatpants for them over there. And then the spring, our community has adopted the elementary school that my son goes to, which happens to be across the street from us, which is really nice. So we are doing some things with them and doing some reading things with them and stuff. So I wanted to be able to provide that. So I will probably, because the yarn is a little bit thicker and I'm decreased the stitches, I think I'll have enough to do a pair of mittens. So I think I'm going to do the cowl and then the Speedy Selbu mittens by Skein. I have done that pattern before, and it requires an Aran weight, and I think they would be really pretty winter, Christmassy. It's very much a red mittens. So that way I'll have 2 items to auction or raffle off, so that way they can buy more sweatpants and stuff for our school. So I'm super excited about that. It's going really quick. I just started the cowl. Actually, I started it last night on the 7s and worked, I think, about 12 rows, and it was so tight, and I could hardly knit the stitches once I slipped them. So I took it out and restarted it, and that's like an hour or so's worth of work. So super easy, super memorizable. Definitely recommend that pattern. So it's the Arrow Cowl by Mia Rinde. So check that out when you get a chance. So I wanted to talk, because I did rip out this week. I have caught the rip out bug, or the frog bug. So because we live in a camper, I don't have much room for storage, and sweaters are so thick and bulky that I'm running out of room in my little closet type thing for sweaters, and they're just overrun everywhere. And there's a couple sweaters that I don't ever wear because, like I said at the beginning, I will just finish a sweater. I just finish it instead of realizing that I'm never going to wear it, or it's too small, or I just don't like it. So I have 2 sweaters I wanted to show you guys before I rip them out. So the first is a Flax sweater. I love the Flax pattern, but I messed it up. I used Brooklyn Tweed Shelter in the Hayloft colorway, which is an amazing mustard colorway. I absolutely love it. I usually don't do the textured arms, but I even did that on this sweater. But look how short my raglan is, guys. I feel like I'm in Tommy Boy, and when he says like fat guy in a little coat and he can't put his arms down, I feel like that's what I'm doing in this sweater because my raglans are so short. They don't come like, look, this is the raglan. Let me see if I can. This is the raglan for this sweater. You see the difference? Like, yeah, I can't put my arms down when I wear it. And with this type of yarn, it's very soft and it's awesome yarn. I doubled it as well. So I did the worsted weight. And when I doubled it, I didn't go up enough sizes in needle. So it's like a brick. Like it is so, there's like no drape. See, there's no drape to it. It's like solid, thick sweater. So it doesn't really stretch. And it's so darn tight in the armpits that I'm afraid I'm gonna rip the armpits. It's just really super tight. So, because I love this yarn, it's literally one of my favorites. I love that Brooklyn Tweed has the little nips of different colors in it, and it has so much interest in the yarn, and I love the yarn. So I'm gonna rip it out, and I think I'm still going to do a flax with this, or I might do another sweater that's in the Ready Set Raglan, but just go up in needle size. So it's not so stiff, and so my yarn goes a little bit farther, and so that I don't have super short raglan increases. So frustrating. I hate when I do that, when I just continue on and just do the sweater, even though I know I don't know why I do that. I think I'm such a process knitter, or a project knitter, rather, that I want to get done with the project, because that feeling of succeeding is so great that I think I just want to finish the project to say I've done with the project, even though it doesn't fit. So I'm going to take that out probably tonight, because I'm going to stay up late tonight. So I'll probably take that out. And I saw this sweater, the Siren sweater. And it's got some lace work right here. Once again, there's several different options that they do. I'm going to see if I can find you guys without showing off trade secrets. They do a couple different options in this sweater as well, which I think is super cool. So they did a color block one of that, and they did a like longer in the body as well. Isn't she gorgeous? She's working it, man. So that's what my plan, because I have another sweater that I want to show you guys. I think I don't know. You don't hear much about people. I mean, you hear about knitters and podcasters ripping things out, but sometimes whenever I'm watching a podcast and I'm like, oh, I want to see that sweater that they just made, and then they never wear it, I'm kind of like, are they like me? Did they make it and then hate it and don't ever wear it? Is that what this is? Like, so a couple years ago, one of my best friends, she's Sarah with Swamp Bunny Fiber. She purchased the Pavement sweater by Veerw Valimaki, and I purchased some Brooklyn Tweed in the postcard colorway. I think they were doing an awesome sale, and I purchased a sweater's quantity worth. The Pavement sweater is a fingering weight sweater, so I purchased the shelter once again in postcard, and I made the sweater. And in the sweater, I think she says, make one. She tells you like, make one right, make one left. Well, this was several years ago, and I was like, I don't really care. I'm just going to do make one right the whole time. Well, let me tell you, that is not the thing to do whenever you're doing a raglan sweater, because this is what happens. Do you guys see? So this raglan on the front is awesome. Super great. This one turns in. I hope you guys can see that. So instead of going like down into the armpit, it goes like across. See the raglan's like in the middle of the sweater. So it's like weird and awkward. So for a while I thought, I am going to embroider over top of it. I'm going to be one of those cool people that embroiders their knitwear and does like a cool like flowers or something just to cover it up, so it's not so obvious. But then it doesn't fit well either, because the raglan is way over here in the middle of the darn sweater instead of where it's supposed to be in my armpit. So, and I did it in the back too. See? Instead of like these really pretty raglans, that's what I get for thinking like, but it's a really pretty sweater. And so this is the shelter with just holding it single. So look how much drape it has, because I use the appropriate needle size instead of, and the Pavement sweater has this really awesome, you do some short rows in the back to kind of give the backs a curved look to it. So I really like the sweater. I love the sweater pattern. It was a really great sweater pattern. It's a slog though, because there's so much stockingette. So it would be a really great pattern to have and to use as kind of like your second pattern that you have. Like maybe you have a really like hard pattern that you're working on and you need kind of a sweater just to be kind of good for your brain, you know, just to kind of settle on and relax to. And this sweater is that. I love this sweater. It was a really great pattern, and the yarn is awesome too. I'm just super mad at myself though, because I've never worn it. I've literally never worn this sweater, and I made it like 2.5 years ago. So, and it's sitting there. It's just wasting the yarn. And if you guys know, like Brooklyn tweed is not like super cheap. So I'm wasting valuable yarn. So, and since I have 2 different sweaters with shelter. So I might do that really cool color block where she had like the mustard on the top and then the gray on the bottom, because both of these have little blips of red. I hope you can see it. I'm really sorry. I use my camera on my phone. I'm real low tech here. Like I have my fireplace going. There's two fireplaces. So this is just our TV, and then there's one right here, our electric fireplace, which is kind of the fan that you hear in the background. So I might do a color block sweater with the 2 of these, so I get more yardage and can make like a long tunic like that, because that is just a really pretty, super pretty pattern. So I think that's it, guys. I'm gonna frog some stuff tonight, work on my cowl and my new sweater, and I think that's it. I think that's all my knitting that I've have going on right now. I did mess up this week and washed all of our hats. We had kind of a weird situation happen this week, and I threw all of our hats in the wash and literally shrunk and felted all of our hats. So I had a really pretty Madeline Tosh cashmere merino hat in the Holy Festival. It's one of my favorite colorways by Madeline Tosh, and it felted, and now it is Fiona's, my daughter's. So she is excited about the hand-me-down. I am not so excited. Luckily I have one more skein of that yarn. I might make another one because it is such a nice yarn. I don't think that Madeline Tosh makes their I think it was called cashmerino anymore, but so now I have to make some more hats for everybody. If you have kiddos in your life or grandkids, or you're making tons of hats for people and for kiddos, I definitely recommend the Beloved Bonnet. I think it's Beloved Bonnet by Tincan Knits. I'm on my phone, so I can't look it up. But it's a bonnet by Tincan Knits. You can look on their website for it. I purchased it, and it is the coolest pattern. How they go, it's a corner to corner bonnet, and it fits kids and babies so well. I tend to find that whenever I'm making them beanies or like little hats, that it doesn't ever cover their ears, especially my daughters. We have like big cheeks and stuff, so the bonnets fit her so well. And you do an I-cord to tie in the front, and it fits her so well. So if you have kiddos in your life, you know, grandkids, kiddos, nieces, if you've got, you know, tons of people that you're going to be knitting for, definitely a good pattern to use, because I have used it probably a dozen times for gifts and things, and I think you can make a pretty good gender neutral one if you're buying for or making for newborns. I think it's just a really excellent pattern, and it's kind of one that is kind of a no-brainer. You know, you don't have to use a lot of brain to it, but you can do stripe, you can stripe it, you can do all kinds of things with it, and I think it's easy to use different weights of yarn, because I've done, I think, Aran all the way to DK to Aran in the pattern, and I've just sized up, and it works. So definitely check that out. So I think that's it, guys. I don't think we're doing much this weekend, because we are going on vacation next week, towards the end of next week for Thanksgiving. We always go the week after Thanksgiving and do a big vacation. We are winter vacationers. I don't like the heat, so we don't ever go anywhere hot. I'm from Florida. I was born in Florida. I was raised here in Western North Carolina. So we always summered in Florida to visit our family and things, and I hate the heat. Like, all of my friends went, you know, on their honeymoons to hot tropical places, and whenever they go on different trips during the year, you know, they go, no, that's not me. I would rather go to Iceland or Alaska again, because I like the cold. So we're doing a quick trip to the beach. Yes, we're going to the beach in November, but we love it. We love going to the beach in the winter, and we still play on the beach, but it gives us an opportunity to do and see more of the museums and things like that, and our kids love it. So we're trying to get ready for that. My daughter busted her tablet, so I gotta buy a new one this week, which is no fun. But I think that's all we're doing this weekend. I'm kind of disappointed. I thought that my training schedule would allow for me to have this weekend off, and I was going to go with one of my good friends to the Alabama game. And unfortunately, I started my actual schedule, so I work weekends, and I won't be able to go. So it's kind of like a boo. But I'm excited to start my schedule, so we'll see. I'm a little tired, but it's been a good week. Once again, thank you guys for stopping by today. I enjoy talking to you guys. I love seeing your comments. I think it's so awesome that people watch that aren't from North Carolina or even from the South. I think it's so cool to see that people across the world are watching me. So definitely leave a comment. Tell me where you're at. I think it's just so neat. And yeah, let me know. Let me know what you're knitting on. I love seeing new patterns and learning about new designers, and I hope that I bring that to you guys. I hope I bring new designers to you guys, because sometimes I love the top 10 designers. I think they make amazing designs, but sometimes I like to see stuff that isn't those top 10. You know, I like to see different stuff. So let me know if you have any questions about any of the knits that I have, and let me know what you're frogging this week. I'm interested to see if maybe you guys frog stuff, because I'm frogging stuff. So don't feel guilty. I think in my mind, I felt guilty that I wanted to frog it, but then that's just unused yarn, you know? Guys, we're wasting money. So I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you have an awesome weekend. Enjoy your knitting. Let me know what you're knitting or you're frogging, and tell me where you're from. I would love to know where you're from. So thanks so much, guys. Have a great weekend. Get off your phone and knit. And thanks for stopping by. Bye.